America because of race, class, or self-defense. Will be now Angela-Burt, the former editor-in-chief of Essence magazine, writer and blogger. Sherri Williams is also an adjunct professor at Syracuse University, and Gloria Allred is still with me. Sherri, is it about race, this trial?
I think, well, let me talk about the representation of racial genteel, because I think that is very important. And I think a lot of that is wrapped up in a lot of the racism, classism, sexism, and just a lot of the lookism that's still deeply rooted in this country. Because I study social media here as a doctoral student at Syracuse University, and when I was looking at a lot of the tweets, a lot of the posts, I saw a lot of ugly, vicious venom spit at her. And it wasn't just the ugliness, because there's a lot of ugliness on Twitter, believe me, because I studied social media, but it was just the sheer volume of what people were saying. There was so much of it, and it came at such a fast pace, and it was really based on how she looked.
I saw it. Yeah. I tweeted about her, saying that I found her a pretty compelling witness and quite credible in many ways, and I got bombarded with very hateful tweets, actually, which I was quite taken aback by. And then I think, well, it is a very emotive case, and people on both sides are taking big extremes. Angela, what is your take on this? I mean, the center of it is it's a self-defense case.
Right.
But is it impossible to eliminate the race element from this?
Absolutely. It's impossible to eliminate race from this conversation. But what's most important at this point and what's missing is the idea of this child, Rachel's, humanity. People don't want to see her humanity and instead want to focus on, negative stereotypes about the way that she looks or the way that she may speak. And you have, all these keyboard assassins and Twitter terrorists who are attacking a child who is sharing her very personal and traumatic story of hearing her friend murdered on the phone. I mean, this young girl is incredibly brave and should be celebrated, and instead she's being mocked and vilified by these people who are just unconscionable. It's just terrible.
Gloria, you've represented many victims over the years, particularly young women who've been through appalling crimes, many of them ill-educated, many of them maybe not the most eloquent of people in a courtroom. So I'd imagine you have great empathy for somebody like Rachel. When you see the reaction, putting that to one side, what kind of impact will it have on the legality of the court process itself, do you think?
Well, I do think it would have an impact on the jury, how she comes across on the witness stand. And it may be that some people who are on the jury are not understanding some of the issues of race and class that have been brought up by the guests. But I might add that, we do have this image of Oprah Winfrey, who has been at some point large and African-American and female, and she's been one of the best loved persons in our country, if not the world. So, but I do think that the class issue here...
I don't think we can compare Oprah to Rachel, though.
Well, but I'm just saying the comment that was made by the guests.
Images of black women in this country, Oprah Winfrey is one of a few that we have, unfortunately. So I don't even think that's really even a fair comparison, because we don't even have a lot of images of black women on mainstream media, period.
Right.
Well, I think that the issue here has to do with her youth, has to do with, the fact that she may not have as much education, was not comfortable in the courtroom.
Yes,
I do think she was very vulnerable at times, came across, as I said, very authentic, very hurt. I mean, I think most people do believe that she was very upset about the killing of her friend. But, and it may be that she's used to kind of copping an attitude, as the younger people would say.
I think that
when she is confronted. That's her style.
But I think that was a self-defense for her. I mean, this young girl is probably suffering from some form of post-traumatic stress from hearing her friend murdered on the phone. And I don't think anybody is focusing on what that young girl may be feeling. Again, going back to her humanity as a person and understanding that to sit on a stand at 19 years old, to testify in front of the man that you think killed your friend at the most high-profile trial of the year that's being broadcast around the world, I don't think anyone could do a great job under those scenarios. But what I was
Okay.
most
I think she
proud
could have
of
done a better
was
job.
I think that
I
she
think she
was
could have
strong,
done a better
she was
job.
compelling, and she was honest, and that's what matters.
If I'd been her attorney, I would have sat with her for probably a week
Sure.
and gone over it every single day
Yes.
so that she understood how the questions needed to be answered, that she has to answer them truthfully, which from
Right.
her point of view she was doing,
Yes.
but how to communicate perhaps in a more effective style.
Okay, if I can just jump in for a minute. Rachel Jeantel and the jurors have something in common. Before this trial, they were just living their lives as regular women going on about their regular way. Now all of them are at the center of one of the most high-profile, racially charged cases of probably the decade. And I think all of them have a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure under them because of their role in this. And I think maybe the jurors can probably empathize with the fact that, you know, their lives are changed now and they have a lot of responsibility in this case too, just as Rachel does.
Okay, good point to end on. Sherri, Angela, and Gloria, thank you all very much indeed. Coming next, to look ahead at Monday's testimony in the Zimmerman murder trial.